Hey, welcome back to the Homestead. Today I wanted to tell you why our family is not off-grid yet. So when our family decided to go and leave that crazy city lifestyle and move out to a quiet country setting and be more self-sufficient, we didn't do it hastily, but we didn't think about completely going off-grid right away. Now it is a goal of ours, so that we have some barriers in the property that we chose. Now at the beginning of our journey, we had a house designed. I'm an architect, so I had something really cool designed, kind of a really energy efficient home that could be off-grid or put on an off-grid system really easily. But after searching through 30 different properties and putting offers on 5 and losing all those, we decided it was time to get out of a rental house and move into a country property that was already set up for us. Now this property has been a total blessing. It is 4 miles outside of a little town of 1,100 people. I have one neighbor and mostly cows as neighbors. It's half an hour from a city of 100,000 people. So we have the ability to go work if we need to, which we do. So that's part of the reason we're in the area that we are as well. But this property is already set up for us, but it is not set up for off-grid living. And here's a couple reasons why. If you haven't already done so, please go hit that subscribe button and join us here on a permanent basis. Thank you. One of those is water. This property has 2 sources of water, but neither of them are naturally occurring or naturally flowing, I guess you could say. This here is a small well. I don't know how deep it is. I don't have the paperwork on it. I can call the state and do that, but I haven't needed to do that so far. It served only a series of greenhouses that a previous owner had on the property. So it currently serves the barn and my garden and the greenhouse. Our house is on a community well. A community well, a rural community well. It serves about 300 homes. And so it's a very small system, but that's where we get our water in the house from. For us to transition to this well is going to take a little bit of work, and it's definitely going to need a bigger tank, bigger pressure tank than we have here. We've got everything insulated and it works well. It works perfectly with our garden and the barn. It serves that with no problem, and it actually even pumps water all the way over to our other property. Probably, let's see, maybe 350 yards to our orchard on our other property. So transitioning this to off-grid is going to be a challenge for a couple reasons. So that challenge is getting power to this well, because the well pump needs to have a lot of electricity running to it to get that water up and into some sort of holding tank or just using the pressure tanks. Putting a well on solar or some off-grid type of energy source it takes a lot of energy to run a well pump. So since we don't have a nice beautiful running brook, we don't have a natural spring anywhere on the property, this is what we're going to have to do, and it's going to take money. So this little 1,700 square foot home that we did choose is perfect for our family of 4. And if you're transitioning off-grid, a smaller structure is going to be much easier to put on an off-grid system than a really large structure. So if you do it how we did it, and you find a small home that is good for your family and the property has amenities on it that are good for your family and will fulfill your needs at the time, that's great. But remember, there are some challenges too. And with this house, the challenges are that the heating system is essentially a heat pump. It works by essentially doing air conditioning in reverse, and that is all electric. And it draws a lot of power. Now we don't use, say, more power than an average household here in Texas. We're about at the average, but it is a lot of power to try and transition onto a solar system. Additionally, all of the appliances are electric. The stove and the water heater and the dryer and washing machine. So all of those things combined together will draw an amazing amount of power. So here it is. Basically, it's cost. It is going to cost a pretty penny, a big amount of money to be able to put in a solar system that's large enough to run this entire property. Does that mean we're going to move? No. My wife has a great job. We've got a great life. Things are set here. Does that mean we won't move? No, that doesn't mean we won't move. But, you know, finding a property up in the mountains somewhere where you have a spring that runs water off the side of the mountain that can provide your water, you can do some sort of gravity-fed system with that, and some other things, that's probably not in the cards for us. All right, so what am I trying to say? We are going to need to invest between $40,000 and $60,000 on a solar system that's big enough to power our property. And right now, that isn't in the cards. We can build a system that starts small and builds up. So that's something that we're working actively to do. And if that is not something that is in the cards for you, I would suggest that you don't do what we did. And that is buy an already established property with a house and whatever else we have on it. So find yourself a mountain property that has water that you can gravity feed and fill up, or a spring that you can tap into and utilizes your water source, and build a tiny little cabin that you can live in with your significant other. Now, I know, like Fouch family, they did a yurt and it's worked for them, and more power to them. But we got out of that city so quick, and we're transitioned to a rental house, and we're like, man, we just got to get out of that rental house that was also in that city of 100,000 people, and we got to get out of our country property. So did we move too fast? Maybe, but we're here and we love it, and we got a lot going on here, and we're going to stay. So it's about transitioning this to what we want to be, which is self-sustainable off-grid. So are there things that we can do to help mitigate that cost and bring that cost down, so we're not just blowing ourselves out with a huge solar system? And the answer is yes. So we're going to be doing some rainwater harvesting. We have a lot of surface area on our barn and the stable that's next to it. We're going to harvest that into a big tank, and what a blessing, it's uphill from our home. So we can utilize that not only to irrigate the garden, but bring that down into the house as well. So there are even some big homesteaders out there who are not off-grid yet. I think it's a great goal for all of us to have if we're trying to live a more sustainable lifestyle. But like, take for instance Wrangler Star. I think Cody's trying to think of going off-grid, and he is trying to be live off the land and be more sustainable. But I'm not sure where he is in that transition to take his property, his home, his barn, that great shop, and take that off-grid yet. I want to encourage all of you to think about, maybe before you even get out there, if you are the type of person who can do what Fouch family did and live in a yurt for 3 years and heat it with wood and not really have air conditioning and maybe just a little trickle of water, and have to carry water to your home to be able to bathe and wash dishes and drink and so on and so forth. If that's for you, go for it right now. That wasn't for our family. And now we're here, and it might be a little harder for us to do that transition off-grid than it is to just start raw and pick a property that is more conducive to doing that. But hey, if you're ready to do it, do it. Because this type of lifestyle is incredibly fulfilling and much more relaxing, and you don't have the insanity of the city to deal with anymore. So I also want you to realize that a lot of those channels out there who are transitioning off-grid or building an off-grid cabin or so on and so forth, they have a lot of money, okay? So first they had to buy the property that they're living on, which isn't cheap. And then they had to buy all the tools to build. So say a certain channel builds buys a massive generator to provide their electricity in their small RV for how many seasons or how many years while they're building their off-grid cabin. They're running a generator, they're trying to get a tiny photovoltaic system going, and it sucks up gas. That generator sucks up gas or kerosene or diesel, whatever it is, at an alarming rate. And you're going to need a lot of cash to do that. You're going to need a lot of cash to buy the tools or to rent the tools to be able to build your off-grid cabin. So I want you to think about that. It takes a big investment. You can't just run off into a national forest somewhere with a saw and an axe and build yourself a cabin and expect to be completely off-grid and expect to be able to provide for a family. That's not going to happen. You have to start with a decent amount of money. So there it is, friends. That is why we are not off-grid yet, but we're moving toward it. We hope you enjoyed the video, and I know there's going to be a lot of questions on here, so please be kind when you're writing them and leave them in the comment section below, and I'll try to discuss those with you. I'd be happy to. I also want you to stay here on a permanent basis, like I said, and hit that subscribe button, and always hit that little bell notification next to it, and then hit all notifications. That lets you know when we put out our next video. Go visit us on countrylivingexperience.com because we do a few different things over there. We've got a tool store on the tools that we recommend here in our homestead, and also we write a blog over there. Thank you, have a great day, and we will see you on the next video.